And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Lewisburg Primary Purpose Big Book Study Group. Our study follows a 96-week cycle that begins on the title page and continues through page 164. We study spiritual experience in Appendix 2 3 times when the asterisk refers us there. We also study Dr. Bob's Nightmare and the 12 Traditions. We close our study on week 96 by studying spiritual experience as a standalone meeting. Our meeting began January 7th, 2020 using this format, and we are grateful you're here to study with us. My name is Aaron, and I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic.
And my name is Larry, and I am a grateful recovered alcoholic.
Before we begin, please be aware that the first 90 minutes of this meeting will be recorded in audio only for our website, podcast, and YouTube channel. If you missed the study portion, you can listen to it online. Study pages will also be listed in the chat. Be sure to check out the information posted in the chat throughout the meeting for our other meeting times. Are there any announcements for the greater good of this group, or AA?
My name is Trish and I am an alcoholic, and we will be having a group conscience meeting on the 24th in this room at the same time as this meeting for whatever time zone you're in. Anyone who is interested in coming is welcome to attend, but only home group members of record will be eligible to vote.
Thank you very much. And tonight's recap will start on page 91 with usually the family should not, and then ends on page 93. He lived by spiritual principles. And I asked Terry to read those, so thank you. And tonight's study portion will begin on page 93 when dealing with such a person and end on page 95 with you will do anything to help.
Please take a moment to settle in and get comfortable. We take our big book study seriously, and we want everyone to feel present and connected as we begin. In a moment, we will have a 3-minute meditation followed by our family fog light prayer. As we move into the study, please help us maintain a peaceful environment. Please be mindful of the background noise when you are unmuted. If you wouldn't do it in a live meeting, please don't do it on Zoom. Also, please stay muted during other people's shares. We will call on hands in the order they are raised.
From the foreword to the first edition of Alcoholics Anonymous, we of Alcoholics Anonymous are many thousands of men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book and of this group. For the meditation, focus on your breath and posture. Breathe in God and breathe out self. Take this time to reconnect with God and release the day. And now for our fog light prayer.
God, let your love shine through us like a fog light, so that those who are lost, sick, and dying can find your love through us. Amen.
Now it's time for our secretary's report.
Good evening, family. My name is Joanne, and I am your recovering alcoholic secretary. And I have asked Kenny. I have asked Kenny to read the recovery statement to explain why many in this group identify as recovered. Kenny, it's on the screen.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Recovered. We are not cured of alcoholism. Recovered but not cured, that presents a conflict to some alcoholics. If we were cured, we would be able to drink responsibly. No, we are not cured. The allergic reaction to alcohol will remain with us for a lifetime. But we have been restored to sanity. That was the problem. The main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. We are now sane where alcohol is concerned. Thank you.
I've told Mommy that you have not listened.
Thank you. We meet every Tuesday night at 5:30 p.m. CT time for fellowship before the meeting. Our big book study begins properly at 6:30 p.m. CT time. During the study, chat will be disabled. From the forward to the second editions, page XX, of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sober up after some relapse, and the remainder, those who stayed on with AA, showed improvement. Could we have a show of hand of people joining up for the first time?
We've got a few of them tonight. Welcome, everybody.
Okay, welcome. Glad that you came. Glad that you're here. Okay. And the recovering alcoholic, these are your potential sponsor. Okay. Is anyone celebrating a milestone this week?
I believe Stephanie is.
Stephanie, would you like to shout it out? Hey, right on, Stephanie.
Stephanie, I think, has company. There she is.
Sorry, I was muted.
Congratulations.
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 Thank you. Love y'all.
Love you
too. So
Love
proud
you
of you.
too. Yes.
I'm not alone. I have good company.
I am also celebrating this week with 41 years.
Who is that?
Who's that?
Me.
Who is me?
41 years.
41.
Right.
Who is that?
Impossible.
Is that you,
All
Tricia?
right. That's a lifetime of recovery.
That's possible.
Tricia, that's you?
That
No,
is
it's
me.
not.
Who?
Congratulations,
me.
my friend.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
All right. Congratulations. Hey, I gotta keep coming back. All right. Please wait a minute. I said that anyone celebrating a milestone this week, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you need a big book, we can send you a large print copy. Please let one of the co-hosts know by chat after the meeting. Please practice the seven tradition using the link in the chat and on the screen. There it is. Okay. We encourage you to get a big book and work with an untreated alcoholic to take them through the program of recovery. Thank you. See you next week.
Thanks, Joanne.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne.
From there is a solution. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. This is an open meeting and everyone is welcome. You're not required to identify yourself if you don't want to. Your anonymity will always be protected. We ask that you protect ours also. Our group is for those who want to recover from alcoholism and have the desire to stop drinking for good and all. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is a potential sponsor of a new member and should clearly recognize the obligations and duties of such a responsibility.
Before we begin our study of the Big Book, last week we reviewed Tradition 6. Tonight, let's take a quick look at Tradition 7. Please refer to page 562 of Alcoholics Anonymous. Come on in, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa, and I'm your traditionalist. Page 562, Tradition 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. And the long form. Ooh. The AA groups themselves ought to be fully supported by the voluntary contributions of their own members. We think that each group should soon achieve this ideal, that any public solicitation of funds using the name of Alcoholics Anonymous is highly dangerous, whether by groups, clubs, hospitals, or other outside agencies. That acceptance of large gifts from any source or of contributions carrying any obligation whatever is unwise. Then, too, we view with much concern those AA treasuries which continue, beyond prudent reserves, to accumulate funds for no stated AA purpose. Experience has often warned us that nothing can so surely destroy our spiritual heritage as feudal disputes over property, money, and authority. Well, that's true. And I have a little bit of history I found, which also they said very same idea. Broke beginnings. In the 1930s and 1940s, early AA groups and the main office struggled constantly for money. Members were often broke, and many believed that society or wealthy benefactors should financially support recovering alcoholics. The danger of outside funds. Early clubhouses that accepted outside funding or property often experienced outside interference, control, or bitter disputes over money and authority. And the corporate poverty decision. In 1948, trustees of AA's foundation faced a major test when a woman left a $10,000 bequest to the fellowship. Though the office was financially strained, the trustees made the historic decision to decline the gift and refuse all future outside bequests, deciding AA should remain poor and rely solely on its members. And I also have a short little story here I'd like to read. The spirit of responsibility defines our attitude toward money. When talking about alcoholics, the words money and responsibility don't always go hand in hand. Money has led many of us astray. However, now sober, the idea of paying our own way opens the door to a kind of growth many of us had never known. Also, we've had our hands out, Bill W. explains. Yet through AA's commitment to self-support, the irresponsible have become responsible. We might take a moment to ponder this change, especially the next time the basket comes around. As Gail S.R. writes in the story, The Price of a Drink. Quote, I couldn't count the number of times that I have said in meetings, I am grateful to AA and my higher power for not having to pick up that first drink today. Why not put the price of that first drink that I didn't have to take today into the basket? End quote, she adds. Self-support doesn't just stop with money, however. As members, we are asked to give of ourselves in many ways. Writes Mike H. of Ventura, California, and Means to an End. Quote, in sobriety, I've known prosperity and poverty. My donations have been large and very small, sometimes barely nominal. But sobriety requires that I give other things, my experience, strength, and hope as an alcoholic, my time in service to fellowship and other alcoholics. These commodities aren't measured by the contents of my wallet, end quote. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
We sometimes hear, thank you, Lisa, I'm so sorry. We sometimes hear things in meetings that can't be reconciled with what is in the big book. The topic for tonight is if all I do is stay sober today, then it's been a good day. And I've asked Tanya to read what the book has to say about that.
Thank you so much, Tanya, alcoholic. And the book says, sometimes we hear an alcoholic say that the only thing he needs to do is to keep sober. Certainly he must keep sober, for there will be no home if he doesn't. But he is yet a long way from making good to the wife or parents whom for years he has so shockingly treated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you. Be sure to use your pens, highlighters, and rulers as we study. We used a study guide prepared by Joe and Charlie and Krusty Clift of the Dallas Primary Purpose Group to stay focused and consistent. We read the material once, then discuss it through question and answer format. After tonight's study is read, we will ask questions from the imaginary podium. The answers will be one sentence unless otherwise specified, and multi-part questions are simply a one-sentence answer split up by commas, semicolons, hyphens, and other fun bits of punctuation. This helps us understand and apply the content clearly.
After the study, we open the meeting for comments and questions based on the pages just read. Our purpose here is to stay in the book and let the message do the work. If a share drifts into something better handled with a sponsor, we'll kindly point you that way.
You can never go wrong by commenting on the pages studied, which brings us to the words of one of our co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous, sobriety, freedom from alcohol through the teaching and practice of the 12 steps is the sole purpose of any Alcoholics Anonymous group.
Before we begin the recap, we need 5 or 6 volunteers to read answers, and please don't be shy. And we really appreciate it.
And Terry, come on in with the recap.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Terry, a.k.a. Pickle Chips. Oh, recovered alcoholic, by the way. This is the recap, page 91. Usually the family should not try to tell your story. When possible, avoid meeting a man through his family. Approach through a doctor or an institution is a better bet. If your man needs hospitalization, he should have it, but not forcibly unless he is violent. Let the doctor, if he will, tell him he has something in the way of a solution. When your man is better, the doctor might suggest a visit from you. Though you have talked with the family, leave them out of the first discussion. Under these conditions, your prospect will see he is under no pressure. He will feel he can deal with you without being nagged by his family. Call on him while he is still jittery. He may be more receptive when depressed. See your man alone if possible. At first, engage in general conversation. After a while, turn the talk to some phase of drinking. Tell him enough about your drinking habits, symptoms, and experience to encourage him to speak of himself. If he wishes to talk, let him do so. You will thus get a better idea of how you ought to proceed. If he is not communicative, give him a sketch of your drinking career up to the time you quit. By saying nothing for the moment of how that was accomplished. If he is in a serious mood, dwell on the troubles liquor has caused you, being careful not to moralize or lecture. If his mood is light, tell him humorous stories of your escapades. Get him to tell some of his. When he sees you know all about the drinking game, commence to describe yourself as an alcoholic. Tell him how baffled you were, how you finally learned that you were sick. Give him an account of the struggles you made to stop. Show him the mental twists which leads to the first drink of the spree. We suggest you do this as we have done in the chapter on alcoholism. If he is an alcoholic, he will understand you at once. He will match your mental inconsistencies with some of his own. If you are satisfied that he's a real alcoholic, begin to dwell on the hopeless feature of the malady. Show him from your own experience how the queer mental condition surrounding that first drink prevents normal functioning of the willpower. Don't, at this stage, refer to this book unless he has seen it and wishes to discuss it. And be careful not to brand him as an alcoholic. Let him draw his own conclusion. If he sticks to the idea that he can still control his drinking, tell him that possibly he can. If he's not too alcoholic, but insists that if he is severely afflicted, there may be little chance he can recover by himself. Continue to speak of alcoholism as an illness, a fatal malady. Talk about the conditions of body and mind which accompany it. Keep his attention focused mainly on your personal experience. Explain that many are doomed to never realize their predicament. Doctors are rightly loath to tell alcoholic patients the whole story unless it will serve some good purpose. But you may talk to him about the hopelessness of alcoholism because you offer a solution. You will soon have a friend admitting he has many, if not all, of the traits of the alcoholic. If his own doctor is willing to tell him that he is an alcoholic, so much the better, even though your protege may not have entirely admitted his condition. He has become very curious to know how you got well. Let him ask you that question, if he will. Tell him exactly what happened to you. Stress the spiritual feature freely. If the man be agnostic or atheist, make it emphatic that he does not have to agree with your conception of God. He could choose any conception he likes, provided it makes sense to him. The main thing is that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself and that he live by spiritual principles.
Thank you very much, Terry.
You're welcome.
And now for our study portion. William.
Okay, William, alcoholic. When dealing with such a person, you had better use every language to describe spiritual principles. And use everything. There's no arousing or prejudice he may have against certain theological terms and conception about which he may already be confused. Don't raise such an issue no matter what your own conviction are. Your prospect may belong to a religious denomination. His religion, education, and training may far superior to yours. In that case, he's going to wonder how you can add anything to what he already knows. But he will be curious to learn why his own convictions have not worked and why yours seem to work so well. He may be an example of the truth that faith alone is insufficient. To be vital, faith must be accompanied by self-sacrifice and useless selfishness, unselfishness, constructive action. Let him see that you are not there to instruct him in religion. Admit that he probably knows more about it than you do. Or call to his attention the facts that however deep his faith and knowledge, he could not have applied if he would not drink. Perhaps your story will help him see where he has failed to practice the very precepts he knows so well. He represent no particular faith or denomination. We are dealing only with general principles common to most denominations. Outline this program of action. Explain how you made a self-appraisal, how you straighten out your past, and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him. It is important for him to realize that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital part to your own recovery. Actually, he may be helping you more than you are helping him. Make it plain he is under no obligation to you, that you hope only that he will try to help other alcoholics when he escapes his own difficulties. So just how important it is that he placed the welfare of other people ahead of his own. Make it clear that he is not under any pressure, that he need not see you again if he doesn't want to. You should not be offended if he want to call it off, but he has helped you more than you have helped him. If your talks has been as sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, you have perhaps made a friend of alcoholism. This is all to the good. The more hopeless he feels, the better he will be more likely to follow your suggestion. Your candidate may give reason why he need not follow all of the program. He may rebel at thoughts of drastic house cleaning, which requires discussion with other people. Do not be contradict to such views. Tell him you once felt as he does, but you doubt whether you would have made much progress had you not taken the action. On your first visit, tell him about the fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. If he shows interest, lend him your copy of the big book. Unless your friend wants to talk further about himself, do not wear out your welcome. Give him a chance to think it over. If you do stay, let him stir the conversation in the direction he likes sometime. A new man is anxious to proceed at once, and you may be tempted to let him do so. This is sometimes a mistake. If he has trouble later, he will likely to say you rush him. You will be more successful with alcoholics if you do not exhibit any passion for crusade reform. Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay this kit uh, of spiritual tool for his inspection. Show him how they work with you. Offer him friendship, fellowship. Tell him that if he wants to get well, you would do anything to help.
Thank you very much, William. And for our answer readers, speak clearly, follow the text sentence by sentence. If you lose your place, you may pass or allow the question reader to guide you. And tonight's batting order is Sheila, Tanya, Kenny, William, and Linda. So thank you guys. And the first question goes to Sheila on page 93. How should we talk about our program?
When dealing with such a person, you had better use everyday language to describe spiritual principles.
Thank you. And Tanya, what may happen if we start getting righteous?
There is no use arousing any prejudice he may have against certain theological terms and conceptions about which he may already be confused.
Thank you. Excuse me. And Kenny, do we talk our program or our convictions?
Don't raise such issues no matter what your own convictions are.
Thank you. And William, what is the prospect? What if the prospect belongs to a religious organization and is well schooled in religion? 3 sentences.
Your prospect may belong to a religious denomination. His religion education and training may be far superior to yours. In that case, he is going to wonder how he can add anything to what he already knows.
Thank you. And Linda, what will they be curious to learn?
But he will be curious to learn why his own convictions have not worked and why yours seem to work so well.
Thank you. And back to Sheila, what may they be proof of?
He may be an example of the truth, that faith alone is insufficient.
And
you.
the first comment of the night, faith without works is dead.
Thank you. It is. And Tanya, faith must be accompanied by what?
To be vital, faith must be accompanied by self-sacrifice and unselfish constructive action.
Thank you. And Kenny, what are we not going to talk about?
Let them see that you are not there to instruct them in religion.
And William, congratulate him on what he does now, or what he does know. But what do we draw his attention?
Admit that he probably knows more about it than you does, but call his attention the facts that however deep his faith and knowledge, he could not have applied it or would not drink. He would
Okay.
not drink.
For the next comment, having faith and knowing what to do, but not doing it will not work for us.
Thank you. And William, Linda, I'm sorry, thank you. How could trying to carry this message by telling our story help them see the point we just tried to make?
Could not have applied it, or he would not drink.
With perhaps.
Okay. He could not have applied it, or wait a minute. Perhaps your story will help him see where he has failed to practice the very precepts he knows so well.
Thank you. And Sheila, we represent no what?
We represent no particular faith or denomination.
Thank you. And Tanya, this on page 94, this is a two-part question. A, we deal only with what, and B, they are what?
We're dealing only with general principles common to most denominations.
Thank you. And Kenny, do we then outline the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous?
Outline a program of action, explaining how you made itself present, how you straighten out your past, and why you are now endeavoring to be helpful to him.
Thank you. Thank you. And William, what is very important for them to realize?
It is important for him to realize that your attempt to pass this on to him plays a vital part in your own recovery.
Thank you. And Linda, in reality, who is certain to benefit?
Actually, he may be helping you more than you are helping him.
Thank you. And Sheila, a two-part question. What do we make plain? And B, our hope for them is what?
Make it plain he is under no obligation to you, that you hope only that he will try to help other alcoholics when he escapes his own difficulties.
Thank you. And Tanya, we suggest what as being important?
Suggest how important it is that he place the welfare of other people ahead of his own.
And Kenny, what do we make clear?
Make it clear that he is not under pressure, that he needn't see you again if he doesn't want to.
And William, two-part question. It shouldn't bother us if they what? And B, why is that so?
You should not be offended if you want to call it off, for he has helped you more than you have helped him.
Thank you. And Linda, another two-part question. A, how should our talk with them be? And B, if it was, what might have happened?
If your talk has been sane, quiet, and full of human understanding, you have perhaps made a friend.
Very nice. And Sheila, what may we have disturbed them about?
Maybe you've disturbed him about the question of alcoholism.
And Tanya, is this good or bad?
This is all to the good.
Thank you. And Kenny, why would that be so?
The more he feels helpless, the more helpless he feels, the better.
Thank you. And William, why is it good to make them feel hopeless?
It will be more likely to follow your suggestion.
And Linda, if the candidate rejects the program, should we argue with them? 2 sentences.
Your candidate may give reasons why he need not follow all of the programs. He may rebel at the thought of a drastic house clean, which requires discussion with other people.
Thank you. And Sheila, what should we not do?
Do not contradict such views.
Thank you. And Tanya, what do we tell them?
Tell him you once felt as he does, but you doubt whether you would have made much progress had you not taken action.
Thank you. And Kenny, do we mention Alcoholics Anonymous?
On your first visit, tell him about the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous.
And William, if they show interest, what do we make sure they have before we leave?
If he shows interest, lend him your copy of the book.
Thank you. And Linda, on page 95, at this point, we leave unless what?
Unless your friend wants to talk further about himself, do not wear out your welcome.
You can be good at that. And Sheila, what do we give him?
Give him a chance to think it over.
Thank you. And Tanya, if we do stay longer, who directs the conversation?
If you do stay, let him steer the conversation in any direction he likes.
Thank you. And Kenny, what if the new person wants to get going right now? 2 sentences.
Sometimes a new man is anxious to proceed at once, and you may be tempted to let him do so. You going?
Yeah, one more.
This is sometimes a mistake.
Thank you, Kenny. William, why could it prove to be a problem?
No, this is true. If he has trouble later, he is likely to say, you rush him.
And Linda, 2-part question. A, what is another thing we should never do? And B, we simply do what?
You will be most successful with alcohols if you
Never talk down. It starts with
Okay.
never. Sorry.
Never talk down to an alcoholic from any moral or spiritual hilltop. Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection.
Thank you. And back to Sheila, what do we show him?
Show him how they worked for you, with you.
Thank you. And Tanya, we offer what?
Offer him friendship and fellowship.
Thank you. And Kenny, you get our last question of the evening. What do we tell them at this point?
Tell him that if he wants to get well, you will do anything to help.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who read. Sorry. And if you have, and now we are open for sharing. If you have experience with the pages read tonight, you are free to share. Please stay on topic and be mindful of time. You will see a 5-minute timer at the top of the screen. A friendly reminder: absence of profanity offends no one. We are now open for comments, questions, observations, and spiritual experiences based on the study material. It looks like the dental chair.
Oh, I'll pull.
Hi,
My name is
William.
William Alcohol. Hey, I'm an alcoholic. Thank you so much for your service. And when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, all these alcoholic characteristics, I knew nothing about it. I blame everybody for everything. And that's why I said I know this is true. And bring me back. I remember somebody asked me to take them to the store, and something happened to my cart, and it was their fault. You know what I mean? So those type of things I have to learn how to deal with. Definitely, there was no telling me what to do. And the only time I listened was when somebody shared their story. Because I think I know when people start telling me how I drink and what was going on in my life, and telling me it looked like I didn't belong there, because I would get in my head and get so quiet and start thinking what's going on. I couldn't figure it out. And they would tell me I didn't belong there. And when they told me that, I isolated myself. I didn't stop drinking, but I isolated myself. I stopped doing a whole lot of things I used to do, thought was wrong with the alcohol, going out and stuff like that, and wind up in the house drinking alone by myself. And couldn't find no peace in my house. Because my significant other watched me, you know what I mean? And I learned later that she was going to Al-Anon. She was going to make a leader of that Al-Anon. And she would pay the kids to watch me, and stuff, with them 50 cents, $1. And one day I called myself going to sleep with drink. I had hid it in the closet, and I stepped inside of the closet. And my granddaughter must have been about 7 years of age, and somehow she got in the closet between me and the wall of the closet, and she looking up at me. When I turned the ball up, she started laughing. I'm going to tell Grandma you drinking in the closet, and she ran out of there and got her 50 cents. She got her 50 cents. I never forget that. You know what I mean? So as I began to get sober, actually she remembered. She said no, but I remember. You know what I mean? And that's how my life just got worse and worse and worse. So anytime you said told me to do something, I couldn't hear, and my disease wouldn't let me hear. It wasn't until I went away to a rehab, and this son is God true, man. It's sad and it's funny. I'm sitting up there, and AA comes in, right? And I'm sitting in the auditorium with like about 250 people. I'm identifying with what they're saying, like I'm identifying what we read it in the book tonight. I'm identifying how they know so much about me before I knew myself. And I say, they are actors. They come here to fool me. And I truly believe that, you know what I mean? So, I definitely had a hard time. And it's not a badge of honor, man. I wish I could have got away, though. God had plans for me that I didn't understand myself until I started getting sober. Because if I could have, like the guy said, don't push them. You know what I mean? If I could have got it faster, I wouldn't have been around here today. You know what I mean? And thank God while I stayed here and I began to read the literature. You know what I mean? Some people coming in, getting it right away. Some people was doing it steps right away and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I read the third step in the 12 and 12 that I felt comfortable with my own sobriety, you know, because I had done so much damage. I didn't do physical damage. I always could tell, I'm going to be a damn veteran. I always could take care of my physical stuff. But I couldn't take care of the mental part of it, you know, myself, you know, and that's what was driving me crazy. And anyhow, when people were saying like they was here on this step, they was doing this and they was doing that, and it's a little line, and this one helps me. It's a little line in the 12 and 12, and it goes like this: "It put on the shoe that fits your feet." You know what I mean? So that, and then in the working call section, we meet you right where you are. In the we're agnostic, talk about you know, all inclusive, never exclusive. You know, so these things help me to get right side with no rushing, no race for me to recover. You know, I had to recover my own place. And what I learned about that the trauma, I'm gonna say this and shut up because I share time. Each person trauma is like fingerprints. It is different, you know. Because every time they read how it worked, I used to be listening when I was struggling, trying to get sober. I used to say that I was emotional. When they talk about emotion, couldn't get it, but they could if they had the ability to get honest, you know. So I underestimate the power of this program, yeah, in God, you know. And I'm sober today, and I stay sober a day at a time by doing the things they suggest for me to do, helping others and helping myself in the process.
Thank you very much, William. Is there anyone else that would like to come in and share? Barry?
Yeah. Hi, hi everybody. I'm Pickled Chips, recovered alcoholic. First off, I want to say congratulations, happy birthday. Congratulations to our dear Trish. You do so much for this group. And I'm so honored to call you friend. You've been such a dear friend to me, and I'm just so grateful for that. And Stephanie, same to you. Are you here? Yeah, I see you. I see that you're on your phone down there. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I've got to see every birthday with you, and I love you too. Okay, so on with what we just read. For some reason, I mean, I've read this many times over the years through this study group, but this time it really stuck with me, really dawned on me, was so clear that this was written from experience. And Bill wanted to share his experience with us. And I don't know why I find that so touching, so moving. You know, the part where he says, don't agree to jump right into it because later they may say that you rushed them. That had to come from experience, that others won't make the same mistake. And I read this many times before I started sponsoring people. And for the first 5 years that I tried to be a sponsor, it didn't work. They would go out. I bought them big books, you know, and did everything the book suggested. Told them all about me and my drinking, and they just didn't stick with it. But because of that experience and all the mistakes, well, I might not have made the mistakes, um, but I planted a seed. And I don't think those girls will ever forget, that seed that was planted, because they were there because they wanted to get sober. They might not have got sober right then because they were so young. These were girls that were coming from a sober living house in the area that the meeting was. But, as, I always stressed, how blessed they were to get sober young so they could be sober mommies. And I hope that happened. I'll never know. I'll never, number one, I wouldn't recognize them 25 years later. But anyway, sponsoring has been a huge pleasure and blessing for me. And I'm glad that I've had some girls over the year that have stuck with it. So anyway, I'm glad to see you all. And once again, happy birthday to my friends. Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much for sharing. The floor is yours, my friend. Oh my goodness, there's a scuba pickle.
Hey, I'm Larry, and I'm an alcoholic. And I looked at this in a lot of ways, but I kind of I saw me in this story too. Number one, the first part, he may belong to a religious denomination, religious education and training may be far superior. I'd been through some seminary training. I had been an ordained minister. So when I got in here, I thought I knew all about God and I wanted nothing to do with God because I could never get sober. I could never, I mean, I could never get sober. Even as an ordained minister, I couldn't stay sober. I couldn't do it. And so so that part, when you all and I got into Alcoholics Anonymous and people would start talking about religion, it really, it just kind of, I just kind of just, tried to talk people into circles about how much I knew about God just to shut them up, And so that rang a bell out for me. And, the candidate may give reasons why he may need not follow all of the program. He may rebel at the thought of a drastic house cleaning. That rang bell. I was not going. I was not going to be completely honest. A complete housekeeping was not going to be part of my portfolio, and I knew it from the very beginning. So here I am again in another paragraph of this story. But and yet, my sponsor took me through the program with all that baggage, and I managed to stay sober. He took me through. He shared with me the joys of service, he wore me out with service. You know, if I didn't want God, he wore me out with service, and just, you know, he picked me up, took me to meetings, got me involved in every committee he could think of. You know, I couldn't tell you, but I managed to stay sober, even though I was not a poster child for this program. But my sponsor still loved me and still took me through the program and through the steps any way that I would go through the steps, and I did, and each time I went through the steps I did a little bit better job until finally I did a complete job, and today I have a great relationship with the higher power and God, you know. And I do remember some of the sponsees that I have taken through. I also greatly try to get my sponsees involved in service work, but there was one in particular that I tried very hard to get involved in sponsorship, and he rebelled and rebelled and rebelled and just didn't want to do it. And finally he relapsed, and he looked at me and he told me, "It's because of you. You tried to rush me into service work." And I said, that's the very thing he said to me. So anyway, I'm an alcoholic.
Thank you very much, Larry. Trish?
How did I knew that was coming? I'm Trish, and I'm an alcoholic. And, you know, I love the words of wisdom in that first sentence. Use everyday language to describe the spiritual principles. Because I have sat and watched people talk to newcomers about what we do in the program. And not just the spiritual principles, but the inventory, the amends, and, you know, new folks don't know what that means. It'd be like me sitting down with somebody who works in a totally different field than I do and using all their field's jargon and expecting me to understand. I've got to remember, they don't know our language. They may know the language of the heart, or they may recognize the feelings, but they don't know the words we use. So I've got to make sure that when I'm talking to somebody new, that I'm using words that they're going to understand. But one thing that I do like to stress is, and Larry's touched on it, I think, a little bit, just because I live a spiritual way of life doesn't mean that I'm living a religious way of life. And I may be speaking to someone who has more religious background than I do, and I certainly don't want them to feel like I think I know more than they do. And I also don't want somebody to feel like I'm trying to put down their religion, because certainly that's not the case at all. But the line of learn why his convictions may not have worked and why yours come to work so well, and that, to me, is the spirituality of the program. I'm not going to get into a religious conversation with somebody because I may know more than them, they may know more than me. But religion doesn't necessarily have a space here. It's more the spirituality and the awareness that there is a God. And then I love how it brings in faith alone may be insufficient, but faith must be accompanied by that safe self-sacrifice and unselfish constructive action. I can say all I want. I believe in God. I believe God's going to get sober. I believe I'm going to be sober. But if I don't find some action to take to follow up those words, it's not going to happen. I've got to always follow up my faith with my actions, with my words, with what I do. And then it tells me outline the program of action, explaining how I made a self-appraisal, how I straightened out, and what I'm now and why I'm trying to be helpful to him. And again, but I've got to use everyday terms. And sometimes it's just I took a look at myself. I took an inventory of what my behavior was, and realized that I could do a whole lot better. And now I'm trying to help him. Doesn't have to be real, but you know, in this section here, it's also telling me I can give another person, I can give a newcomer, a general introduction to what the steps are, but I don't have to go really in depth to each one of them, because I don't want to scare them away either and say, no, this is what you gotta do. And always stressing that sitting here talking to another person is always going to be helping me more than the other person. Because it's allowing me to practice that 11th step. It's allowing me, or that 12th step, it's allowing me to be of service to somebody else. To put my faith in action. And to be there for somebody else. And the comment of maybe you've disturbed them about the question of alcoholism. You know, I had a friend of mine who did that for 2 years for me. Maybe she did disturb me about the question of my alcoholism. Absolutely she did. There's no question at all. And I went home every night after our conversation, and I thought long and hard, am I an alcoholic? Am I not an alcoholic? But the fact that her comments, her endless hours of conversation with me made me think about maybe I am an alcoholic. Planted those seeds. Watered those seeds, even pulled some weeds around those seeds. And then when I was ready, when I called her and said, I'm ready for a meeting, she was there. She was there to take me to it. And then the very end, offer friendship and fellowship. And then I'll do whatever it takes or whatever he wants to get, if he wants to get well. I have met people in these rooms who, after coming in, doing a little bit of step work, decided, I'm not an alcoholic. And it's not my place to tell them, yes, you are. But we've still remained friends. So even through that process of someone deciding they are or they aren't an alcoholic, I can still make and maintain and keep friendships that extend outside of these rooms. And it also allows me to keep planting those seeds. It doesn't mean I have to talk alcoholism every time we're together. But it does remind me and remind them I'm still there as a friend. Even if I'm not there as a fellow alcoholic. Because I can't decide if someone is or not. But just having the friendship. So, you know, as long as I'm there for somebody else and not living in that self, what am I going to get out of it? I'm not going to get anything out of it. I might get a friend, but I'm also going to get an opportunity to plant seeds and share my story with somebody else. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Trish. Linda, I do see your hand up, but Andre, were you going to come in a minute ago? You're muted.
I'll come in later.
Okay, thank you.
He
Linda?
can share first if he wants. Andre, you can go ahead.
No, I'll pass.
Okay. All right. My name is Linda, and I'm an alcoholic. And I like this part of the book. You know, it's letting us know how we can interact, you know, with the newcomer, what's the best way to deal with them, and to welcome them into this program, to make them feel comfortable. I like the part where it says you should not, you know, start preaching to them from a, you know, any moral or spiritual hilltop. In other words, don't look down at them. If you look down at someone, you should be looking down at them to put your hand down to lift them up, you know, but you don't have to get that better than attitude because maybe you have 10, 20, 30 years and that person only has a day. They already feel bad. They already feel small. You know, me talking a whole lot of stuff and this is what you should do, and but that's not going to keep them in the rooms. It's not going to make them feel welcome. That's not a good approach. It's not a good approach at all. You know, I had a very kind sponsor. Every time I relapsed, I would cry and bury my face in her fur coat, and she would put her hand on me, and she would hug me and say, "It's okay. It happens to everyone. I want you to just keep coming." She was at my first year anniversary, you know, and she was happy for me. When I got 30 days, she came to the meeting with, you know, flowers, red roses, you know, and a friend of mine, and I'll call her a friend. I will call her a friend. She in and out, in and out. I've seen her in the meetings. I've seen her here and there. Don't judge a person by the way they look. I thought she was a person that had an attitude. I didn't know it was pain. Physical pain, emotional pain, and mental pain. I didn't know that. But she shared in our meeting. She came to our beginners meeting, and she shared. And me and the other group member was like, you know, because it's a beginners meeting. It was like, oh, look like something's wrong with her. And I was like, oh, I'm going to call her. I'm going to call her because she put her number in the chat. So I called her. Another member called her. And she told me what she was going through. And I said, I got you. I went through the same thing in recovery. I got you. You don't have to feel ashamed. You don't have to keep drinking because of that. There is a solution. No matter how bad what you're going through, there is a solution. I said, I got you. That's all she needed to hear. And she celebrated her year this summer, and I went there with flowers, you know, the same way that my sponsor did me on 30 days. And I was a hopeless case. I was young at the time. I didn't think that I had a problem. I thought this was an old person's, you know, problem. You see a drunk laying in the grill with vomit on themselves. That's what an alcoholic was. I know alcohol could be a CEO of a company. I know alcoholic could be a president of a country. I didn't know what an alcoholic was until I came to AA and they broke it down. They said anyone. And one guy made a rhyme. He said from 8 to 80, blind, cripple, look crazy. Would they say rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief? You know, and I was like, yeah, sure. But then later on I understood what they were saying. Anybody. You know, and today I know it's not, I don't have to be ashamed. I don't have to be ashamed. I'm a human being like anyone else. And I have to let the newcomer know, you're an alcoholic, but before you're an alcoholic, you're a human being. I want you to know that you're a human being. And you have suffered enough, come on, it's time to get sober. You know, I say things like that. I try to say comforting things because we don't know the pain and the suffering they're going through. I didn't know my friend had sickle cell. I didn't know she has a son that severely has mental illness. I mean severe mental illness on top of drinking and drugging. And he attacked her and left her for dead in her apartment. You know, and a lot of things happened to her. I didn't know that. I can't judge this lady. You know, we got to handle people with kid gloves. You know, we can't shove the program down their throat. We have to find out who they are, what they're going through, and listen. Just listen. Just listen to them. You know, and let them know, listen, this is what I did to get sober. And the way I was doing it before, my way, it didn't work. I tell people that, no, it didn't work. You know, like a little wake up. You know, is it working what you're doing? Is it working? Just let's be honest. Is it working? It's not, you know, then it's okay to come to the other side. You know, it's okay to take a suggestion. You know, you have to take it in big bites, but in, you know, little baby steps. But at least start this journey of recovery. Thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Linda.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Thank you, Linda. Wonderful share. Let's see. Oh, Tanya.
Thank you so much. I'll go quick. Tanya, alcoholic. grateful to be here, sober and alive today. Thank you guys so much for this lovely meeting. I was gonna talk about faith without works is dead. But we already covered that a few times. I just want to read sentence on page 94, and it says, "You should not be offended if he wants to call it off, for he has helped you more than you have helped him." When I started sponsoring, and maybe I was close to 10 months. That was my sponsor really urged us all to immediately after we finished the 12 steps to start sponsoring. So at my early sobriety, I'm still only 4 years, but that early was challenging. And at one point I had maybe 4 or 5 newcomers at once, and not many of them really stayed with me. They went back, they relapsed, and I was heartbroken. Because my job was to save them, right? And this chapter, working with others, is so important. And I continue to reread this because really clear directions are here. Here are the suggestions what to do. I don't have to invent this new program. I don't need to come up with all these solutions, because I've seen people, while they are sponsoring, they're giving a lot more than what's in this book. I think they're sometimes crossing their lines. They start giving advices, give their own, I would not say suggestions, advising people how to handle their finances or how to handle their relationships with their significant other. I've heard once the sponsor saying to one of my close friends in sobriety, she said, her daughter was not doing well. She was living on the streets and everything. And she said, "You just need to let her go. Just let her go." So there were some things that I disagreed with, and I was really confused. I was thinking, okay, so what do I do? How do I handle this? There are things people are saying, I cannot find a job. What do I do? Do I look for a job for them? It was a lot of confusion, because I observed some, they say there are people in the meeting that can teach you how to be and how not to be. So that was really confusing at that early stage. I mean, it doesn't mean I'm not still confused. I'm still, 4 years, but it was really, I needed to learn not to be offended, because some people are ready and some people are not, and who am I to start? And I would chase people. I would not leave them alone. If they didn't come to the meeting, I would call them and say, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you?" So I did some things that were not approved, but I didn't know better. But today I'm learning, and I have an amazing sponsor. She's so kind and so knowledgeable and full of wisdom. It's my pleasure to work with her, and she's teaching me a lot, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's about progress, not perfection. Continuing to staying teachable and learn and develop myself in sponsorship a lot better. But that's the best at that time that I knew, and that's how I was approaching it. But I know a little bit more and better today. And I just want to say congratulations to Stephanie. I think she left on 6 years. That's amazing. And Trish on 41 years. Not bad, Trish. And with that, I have to pick on Trish. I cannot handle it. I cannot handle myself. I have to do something to Trish every time. But I just want to say Maggie is here. She's my new friend in sobriety. I like to say we're both from Eastern Europe. So, I see my next door neighbor kind of being in the meeting, which I love her. And so Trish, please be nice to Maggie. With that, I will thank you guys for the meeting.
Thank you very much. Wonderful share. Xavier, come on in. Good to see you.
Good to be here. Xavier, recovered alcoholic. I know how creepy the shades are, so apologies ahead of time. So super happy to be here. Sorry, I joined the meeting late. Trish, always thank you for the pages. I got caught up in 93 to 95. So I'm loving sponsorship recently, and here's what I love about sponsorship. First, I love my sponsor because I get to talk and talk and talk And he listens and he asks questions, and it's brilliant. And I know very little about him. He knows a lot about me, and that's how I like it. And I have 2 sponsees that I'm doing a lot of work with, and I meet them on Tuesday mornings, and I walk for over an hour and just go through the book, and we chat and we catch up. And I let them talk and talk and talk, and I ask them questions. And I do a lot of what I try to sponsor them the way my sponsor sponsors me. And it's interesting, one of them I'm going through chapter 5, as I'm going through chapter 5 again with my sponsors, so it's pretty cool. I love the suggestions. The older I get, I think I'm 45 going on 26 or 27 maybe at this point, as far as maturity goes. And the older I get, the wiser I get, the more I appreciate the big book. I appreciate the simplicity. I appreciate how they share their experiences. There's so much wealth. There's so much depth and weight in these words. And I think as I have more experiences, as my consciousness changes, I'm just seeing more of like the simplicity in a good way of the writing. And I'm not seeing it so much like I'm trying to figure it out like a scientist, or at least not like I used to. And it's just an easier way, because it's probably because I'm applying it to life now, and I'm realizing like life is complex. And these guys, the original 100, just shared their experiences, man, and gave really great advice. And it's like a guide for me to take what I can, leave the rest, and apply it. In this case, the sponsorship. So super grateful. Also, just recently, going through a lot in life, take the good with the bad, like always. And it feels, I just have so much gratitude recently that no matter how good things are, no matter how dark things get, like I have a program of action. And I know that at the end of the day, I don't have to figure it out. I'm the kind of guy that likes to figure everything out. Like my ego loves to come in and just like piece things together. It's kind of my go-to. It is my go-to. And recently it's been getting me in a lot of trouble. And I'm so grateful I can go back to my sponsor and he can just laugh at me and see what a complete knucklehead out my ego is. And I feel like the more I talk to him and he helps me pick up these simple tools, these spiritual tools in our toolkit and just apply them again. And often by the end of the conversation, my ego has shrunk a lot and I feel like my old self is back. And I'm starting to realize, I think, that a lot of this really is removal of ego. So I could be more of my God self. And I'm very grateful. So I'll finish by saying, like, in my opinion and in my experience, it truly is essential for me to give it away. And what I find is as I continue to do that, the other parts of my life continue to get better. And when I stop doing that, things can get worse quickly. And I think one of the major reasons is because I get back into self and self-centeredness. And the problem with self and self-centeredness is it gets smaller and smaller and it shrinks. Just like I used to be able to barely just see the world through like a straw and all I wanted was alcohol. I realized when I start to get sick again, like even without having a drink, suffering from alcoholism, untreated alcoholism, my world starts to get smaller and it's just this ego that I'm seeing. And it's really interesting. I can get really sick so very quickly. So I'm grateful that whatever life has, I have a program of action, and I depend heavily on sponsorship. My wife constantly tells me to call my sponsor, which I'm grateful for. And she always says, like, don't work your problem, work your program. Go work your program. And yeah, so I'm super grateful. And if I can give back in sponsoring other men, it's such an incredible gift. So, all right, that's all I got. Thanks for letting me share.
Hang on, Xavier. Congratulations.
Yay! Congratulations, Xavier.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll cut scissors in a little bit. Thank you so much for your show. Papa Pickles.
Congratulations. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful recovered alcoholic. I'm sorry I missed Steph. I'll send her congratulations. Congratulations, Xavier, and congratulations, Trish. See, it went by, I didn't even know. Showed you how much your sponsor pays attention to stuff, huh? So I love what Tanya shared, and I'm going to say, oh, I got to do this first. Xavier, this is for your benefit. They are frameless, you know. So talk about creepy. At any rate, you know, one of the things that I have heard over the years is sponsors say, "Oh, you're not ready to sponsor yet." Really? Have you been through the steps? And if you're not ready yet and you got a sponsor saying that, maybe it's because the sponsor hasn't prepared you to be ready and hasn't taken you through the steps. And I got to tell you, that's bad sponsorship. Here's a thought. This chapter gives us guidelines on sponsorship. Bill Wilson had worked with 96 alcoholics and was 5 months sober when he met Dr. Bob and started sponsoring Bob, and they didn't even have a program yet. So, really? You're not ready yet? That is a weak excuse to not freely give back of what has so freely been given to us. And I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. There is not one place in that big book that tells me I get to tell you, you got it. It's not in there. Now, I'm not to be your doctor, banker, lawyer, or any of those things, but in life I do have some of those things, experience in some of those areas. It's not my business to tell someone how to manage their finances, but I'll tell you what, if they're having financial problems, I'll be happy to show them how to do a budget. You know, if they're having marital problems, I'll be happy to suggest that, well, you guys might try some counseling. You know, there are things that we can suggest, but for me to tell anybody they got to do anything, that part ain't in the book. And neither is the part that you are not ready. If we have been through the steps, it is our responsibility to reach out to the next newcomer that God puts in our path and at least make the offer and at least make an attempt. And if not, we're not doing what God has already prepared us for. I hear sponsors say things like, well, if you've been drinking, don't you call me. Really? Where the hell does it say that in the book? It does say if our prospect doesn't show interest, then let them go and go on to work with another. However, I'll tell you what, I have people who are still drinking, and you know what? I don't reach out to them as a sponsor. I reach out to them as a friend. As a friend in Alcoholics Anonymous, to let them know that I love them and I care about them. And when we talk, sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I am the guy who takes the phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they may be drinking, I don't say, call me when you're sober. I listen to them. I don't talk anything about the program. I don't shove big book up their nose. We just talk about life, because they're not going to remember any of that anyway. But you know what they will remember? That one day when they were in deep emotional pain, somebody who's a member of Alcoholics Anonymous took the time to listen to them when they were in that deep emotional pain. And that, my friends, is planting a seed. We don't eat our own in Alcoholics Anonymous, or at least we're not supposed to, and yet we eat them alive all the time. I've heard sponsors say, Well, if they want what I got, they'll come and get it. And you know what my thought is? You don't have a damn thing I want. Because that's nothing but pride and ego. What have you missed in the steps? You know, my job in Alcoholics Anonymous is not to tell other people's story. My job in Alcoholics Anonymous is not to gossip. My job in Alcoholics Anonymous is to hold the torch through the dark caverns of life and help another to find their pathway to recover so that they can heal physically, spiritually, emotionally. And then they have a chance to live. Got somebody right now who has been struggling for years. They shall remain nameless. But you know what? They just went and took a 30-day chip tonight in a bricks and mortar meeting, and I am thrilled. And while I am not responsible for that, and I'll mention this, any sponsor who thinks that they are responsible for somebody else's sobriety and get to take credit for you are out of their rabbit-ass minds. I don't get to take the credit for success or failure. What I do get to do is I get to experience part of their journey, and it is a joy to know and watch someone grow and just know that I had the honor of being part of their experience. A question for each one of us to ask ourselves. In working with others, what kind of example do I want to be? Do I want to be the person that says, you got it? Or do I want to be the person that says, here's what I have done? And in the sponsees that I am blessed to work with, there's a few here, know that I ask them questions, because the truth is I don't know what the right answer for you is. Except for read the book, don't pick up, pray. Those are certainly right answers. But I don't know what the right answer is. But if I ask an individual the right questions, you know what's going to happen? They're going to have to take a look at themselves. Few people I ask all the time, what have you got to lose by trying this all the time? Well, I got nothing to lose. Oh, yeah, you do. Maybe what we lose is pride and ego and fear and control and manipulation. Those are some pretty good things to lose in life. And what happens as a result of it is we develop the heart of a servant rather than a self-serving heart. And you know what, guys? I'm depending on you guys to do that. You know why? I've got great grandchildren. And if you and I don't do that, you know what will happen? This program won't be around for them, or it will be watered down with so much outside BS that there will be no hope. What is our primary purpose of this group? To carry the message that is in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's also what my primary purpose as one of God's kids is. You pick up a drink. What did you miss? You pick up a drink if you call me. I'm still going to love you. Because it is not my place to sit in a place of holier than thou. It is not my place to sit in a place of judgment. It is my place to sit in a place of love and compassion and understanding and the attitude of how can I be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And Xavier, I forgot to tell you, happy 7 years. Congratulations. And
Thank you. Thank you kindly.
thank you. And it looks like we are out of time for this evening. So, Larold?
Yeah.
Larold, I like it. I'm going to use that one.
Oh, Aaron.
You can get me back next week.
Xavier, happy 7th anniversary. And Trish, I don't think I ever said happy 41 to you. So in closing, from page 164, our book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little. God will constantly disclose more to you and to us. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick. The answers will come if your own house is in order. But obviously, you cannot transmit something you haven't got. See to it that your relationship with Him is right, and great events will come to pass for you and countless others. This is a great fact for us. Abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you tread the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. We've got a special way of closing here at Primary Purpose. We're not in brick and mortar, and we can't hold hands around the table, but we hold hands up to the screen. And we have a moment of silence for those still sick and suffering inside and outside of these rooms. And we follow it up by the Lord's Prayer. So let's take and have a moment. Who brought us from shame to grace? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us.
Congratulations to the celebrant.
Yes.
Xavier and
Every one of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Happy
to the celebrant.
anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
So much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Go eat some cake.
Congratulations.
Eat some cake.
Jamie.